Stars, just.
I just want to remark that part of the thing that makes Android better than iOS, in my opinion, is not just how how liberated the users are, but also the programmers. I mean, just one tiny little thing that you can do on a Nexus 1 that a lot of phones won't let you do is this. Turn on a flashlight from the camera's flash. Might not entirely be a good idea, but I really enjoy these clever little misuses of the technology that Google allows you to do just to think outside the box.
Well, since we've gone over since we've gone over the 15 minutes, we might as well finish this video up. No, it's okay. We'll just I apologize for part 2, but we're in part 2 now, so we might as well finish it up. But that goes back to the difference in the core philosophies. The core philosophy at Apple is we envisioned the universe perfectly. Trade all your liberty for our security, and we'll protect you. We'll be Big Brother. We'll take care of it. Don't think, little brains. Just do as we say, and everything will be good. And when it's not, just listen to what we say. We're right, and all those people who speak ill of us are wrong. It's the fanboy mentality at its greatest. And I might as well answer the question Eric just asked here, which was what is it? This whole freedom is an illusion. Here's one of the big things that isn't an illusion. Here are the following people who Apple believes in punishing. I'm using Linux. That's the biggest group. You're using Linux? Oh, you have no place in the iWorld. Your money is no good here. We don't want anything to do with you. A giant expletive of choice here. The other group that's punished religiously by Apple is a large group of Windows users, and that is they have some game, some application, something else that requires. This has become less of a problem as of late, but for years with iTunes, and this is one of the primary things that drove me the hell away from iTunes and iPods. Before I even began to switch my whole systems over to Linux, I had like the Myst series of games that required a certain version of QuickTime. And iTunes made me install the latest version of iTunes. Assuming it's QuickTime's part of iTunes, and these two versions of QuickTime would fight with each other, and both the game and iTunes refused to run. The process to launch either was to completely uninstall both, install the other, and then completely uninstall that, then install iTunes, and this was the process I had to go through to sync the iPod, to do this. Had to jump through all these hoops to keep Apple happy. And then I had a video editor that was using a version of QuickTime. And then Apple would update iTunes, and the whole system would go do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. I got tired of Apple breaking the computer. I just got tired of it. I didn't want to fuck with it anymore. And you say, well, you're a stupid PC user. You should be using a Mac. Okay, I'm a Linux user. I don't forgive the Linux thing, but you could argue against that. But they shouldn't be breaking Windows computers, which is the eye experience for most end users. Oh, I wonder why Android's growing so fast.
Until the iPhone done what the iPhone is doing, okay? And what I mean by that is AT&T allowed the iPhone and Apple to put its own content in the phone. They allowed Apple to supply its own UI and its own operating system and supply its own content in future updates. They relinquished control of the phone to Apple.
Really? They relinquished control of the phone to Apple. So Apple doesn't want anyone to have tethering. That's Apple's choice. You heard Amy say it. Apple doesn't want you to have tethering. It has nothing to do with AT&T.
I wish he spoke for Apple so we could use that against him.
It was like, well, and there's a false premise here. You're assuming that every handset that was on the AT&T network before the iPhone was running an operating system and software designed by Apple. That's funny. I didn't think Apple wrote software for phones. I thought they just bought phones that manufacturers sold them. I must be missing something there. I guess Symbian's an AT&T product, right?
I guess. I'm sure he'll.
With the iPhone, that was unheard of. Carriers controlled everything. So don't talk to me about choice. If it wasn't for Apple, you still wouldn't have any choice. And I choose to have a solid, stable, safe experience over an unsecure, unstable, and unsafe platform just because I can install anything I want without somebody's approval.
Is your Android phone unstable?
No, mine isn't really unstable. It's never crashed once.
Yes.
Now, Tiny's iPhone on the other time crashed every time he synced it on a Windows machine.
Dude, my iPod crashed all the time. It was so annoying. I was like, seriously, how many things does this have to do that can cause it to crash? It's an MP3 player. It's the only MP3 player that I've ever owned that has crashed. It's ridiculous.
Again, we're not saying son, but you know, it's. I always find it funny when Apple fanboys talk about, you know, other devices like, well, they crash. Oh, and iPhones and iPods never crash? That's funny. I know a lot of people. In fact, I know 5 who switched away from Apple products either because of directly or indirectly causing crashes. Either the iDevice was crashing or having to use iTunes was crashing their system. That's the primary reason I know people switch away from these devices. So, yeah, it's of course it wouldn't surprise me if there's 1 or 2 people who overload their Android device who chose to switch away because for some reason they don't overload their iDevice. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. But this is not a. Anyways.
To me, I think your all's priorities are skewed. That's what I think. Because.
What? Oh, I thought you would say second.
I was just saying, okay.
Yeah. I think his priorities are skewed. He's apparently, you know, I always find it funny when Emeek says somebody who arguably a lot of people in America would respect are basically full of shit. Again, I refer to my quote, trading liberty for security. Because that's what he's saying. It's in your best interest. Trade liberty for security. You'll be fine. That's like, I prefer that. If you don't believe in that, your priorities are askew. I guess everyone in America who believes in that person's priorities are skewed.
Everybody says, well, Apple's limiting themselves to just one carrier, and they'll open up to more carriers. You better believe that they will. But when they first introduced the iPhone, I heard AT&T was the only carrier willing to give Apple that kind of control, or maybe they would be on other carriers. Maybe we shouldn't blame Apple.
It's the backdoor deal nobody knows the specifics of. Some people don't even know if the 5-year exclusivity even has any legal standing to stand on again. At this point,
he's basically talking out his butt.
Well, no, he's making a valid point there, and I honestly I do think Apple is looking to have the iPhone and the iPad on other carriers. When and how they're going to do that, right now I think they're juggling between trying to strong-arm AT&T and milking their users. Because if they release it, it's like they're trying to figure out what's the best time we can sour this business relationship and get everyone to immediately buy 2 devices. Because they'll have bought the AT&T one, and then they'll buy the Verizon or T-Mobile or wherever it goes one. Yeah, it's like they're trying to find that perfect time to double milk it.
You blaming these other companies, maybe they're kicking themselves in the ass right now for not saying, okay, whatever you want, we'll go for it. You know, AT&T, for everything that you say back...
I don't know. I think the other companies are pretty happy with Android. I don't think they're too sad they don't have to deal with Apple. I kind of, in some respects, I wish Google was being a little more Apple-like and saying, no, this is Android can do this, so you're not going to remove this feature. But I think they really like, let me see, a company that has good public relations, a company that's the underdog, and the future of the technology. Yeah, they're really regretting backing that horse as opposed to the dying one. Yeah. Oh.
About them, at least they had the foresight to make the deal happen and have the iPhone, and now look what they've done to the smartphone and cell phone.
On that note, do you think they are happy? Because we've pretty much learned, I don't want to do more antenna bashing and stuff, but based on the talks I've been having with Bit and other Apple users since recent antenna stuff, it's become very clear lately that all the issues aren't the AT&T network. They're the iPhones. So do you think AT&T is happy that they've got the reputation in the States as the most unreliable cell phone network because of Apple hardware? Do you think they're glad that they made that reputation for themselves?
Yes, I seriously think that AT&T loves a bad reputation. No. That is absolutely ridiculous.
They've turned it upside down on its head. So you can keep your little illusion of freedom if it makes you feel like you're a principled person. Me, I care about user experience and overall happiness with the phone. Freedom is a relative thing. What matters to
I think on that respect, we're going to stop him because he just goes on and babbles about that for a little bit more. And, much to my surprise, I'm going to agree with him. Because all the reasons he just said, usability, user experience, stability, and so on, are the reasons I kicked the iPlatform. Because it wasn't stable in my environment. Now that I'm Linux, it isn't usable in my environment. And I find Android much more reliable. And, for me, a much better user experience. I like the fact that I have two menus. I have a desktop and an applications menu, rather than just an applications menu. I like the fact that I have widgets, and that I have folders that can contain more than 12 things, and that I can name on the fly, and that I have fully interactive things. I like the fact that I integrate with other services well. I like the fact that I'm not put in a box and limitation and other things like that. So for all the reasons he just suggested you should choose a device, I chose Android over iOS and iDevices because it does all of those things better for me. Oops. Did he just convince me that I should never ever touch an Apple device again? Okay, you got 2 minutes if you have anything else you want to say.
I don't know, nothing 2 minutes worth. Just something that's been annoying me. He really needs to learn how to use the past tense.
Yeah, I'm never going to pick on anyone for grammar because I'm grammarly retarded. As anybody who's been watching this channel knows, I have a real problem with homonyms.
It's just been getting annoying to me.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's not important.
Occasionally he makes a valid point like he just did there. The problem is like, you have to agree with him. It's the Apple way or the highway, and if you're too stupid to see that, you're retarded. Well, sorry to go on for 2 parts, all, but we're going to go ahead and end that there. And again, this isn't any series or anything. It's just, I wanted to do it for fun. I'm like, hey, why the hell not? If we drive off 100 subscribers, well, that's their problem. It's like, peace out, all.